Hello, everyone. It's Friday. Current affairs. Yes, current affairs. What's going on in the world today? And it looks bad, doesn't it? Really look bad. You know, we're just sitting here in our homes and we're watching the likes of what's going on, especially in Ukraine, because what you've got now is a missile that landed in Poland. Well, I remember a few years ago, everyone was, the West, this is Article 5, where they can go in and into Russia, the whole of the West, including America. And it was a red flag. It was a Ukrainian missile. And this particular missile, you know, I think it's another red flag. I really do. Because Ukraine is completely and utterly lost. It's lost. There's the Black Sea. They can't control the Black Sea anymore. They're landlocked. And they know that Russia is going to take Odessa and Kiev. And they'll end up as what they call a rump steak. That means, Ukraine will be no more. So they're panicking. They really are panicking. And if anyone believes, if you really believe that what the West is saying, that Russia's going to invade Europe, please take no notice. They're not going to invade anybody. They're not going to invade anybody. I'm not going to go through why they went into Ukraine again. I'm not going to repeat it. You should know why they went into Ukraine in the first place. Because, let's be honest, they were provoked to doing that. They knew that Russia would go into Ukraine. They knew it. And they provoked it. They provoked it from 2014 after the overthrow of the legitimate government in Ukraine. They knew it. Led by America, by the way, CIA, and the MI6. That's who led it. The overthrow, regime change, so that they could put puppets in for the West. And the biggest puppet and the most corrupt to date is the fella who's running it now, who's going everywhere. He's never in there. He's never in Ukraine, is he? He's always bouncing about to different countries. He was actually here, and that Burnham saying we're going to back you. Burnham really needs, well, you know that he's a puppet, don't you? You know that Burnham's a puppet. The EU, are puppets as well. And I'm talking about the likes of von der Leyen and Callas, every one of them. They're all puppets of the WEF. That's who the puppets. Anyway, and you're going to look. You've only got to look, haven't you, at what's happening in this country. We're all crying, or the West is crying. Look at Russia, they invaded Ukraine. You've got to ask yourself why. There's Europe being invaded, and this is the EU, and no one is batting an eyelid. No one. They're all going on about Russia, Russia, Russia. Yet the whole of Europe is being invaded. Ubai. You know Ubai. Oh, you might have seen you before, didn't I? Oh, that's great, that. You're here. Hi, Frank and friends. Hey, Millie. Oh, lovely. Lovely to see you. Mr. B. Hello, Frank and chat. Hey, Mr. B. Hashtag 97. I love that. What you do. And you'll never walk alone. I think that's great, though. I hope you're well, my old mate. Yes, I'm okay. I'm getting there. I'm just now waiting for the go ahead for me up. I'm still waiting for the date. Next month, for next month. And next month is the day after, isn't it? So I should really have it by, I reckon, in the next few days. The date, that is. Smashing the likes, says Mr. B. Absolutely. And Phil says, hello, Frank and chat. Hello, Phil. And Myra. Frank, what's your thoughts on 60,000 migrants suddenly stormed the border into Spain? That's what I've just been talking about. Well, not talking about that particular incident, but we're already being invaded, and all is don't you think it's a distraction with the propaganda coming out of the EU, Brussels, about Russia invading? And we've got to get an army up. We've got to get everything up. We've got to buy missiles. And it's a distraction because of this lot. And it's been like that for a few years, not just now. Remember a few weeks ago when Starmer came out and said we're going to go into the Black Sea with our Navy. And someone said, why don't you go into the English Channel and stop the dinghies? If you can't stop dinghies, there's no way that you can stop massive battleships, nuclear-powered battleships, and submarines. Get a grip, Kia. Do you remember that? That's how pathetic it is. And they're wanting to stop an invasion of Russia. Let's be hypothetical about it. Let's do this scenario. So, Russia is going to invade Europe. Right? They're just going to invade Europe. And what do you think will happen? Here's what will happen. At the beginning. Here's what will happen, people. They'll send nukes. No, conventional missiles that just make big holes or make buildings fall down. They'll send nuclear missiles or nuclear bombs by planes. And they'll bomb each, I'm telling you now, they'll bomb each capital. Say like this country, for example. They'll bomb the capital and they bomb Middle England. And they'll do the same in Germany with Berlin. They'll do the same in Italy, by bombing Rome and central Italy. There's 2 nukes they'll do in each country. 2 nukes. And they've got them, and they've got loads more. What would that do? What could we do? What could we do? Send planes. They'll be shot down. Send missiles. They've got, they've got, as I said, Middle England, you know, I'm just talking about Middle England. And they take out the silos. That's what they'll do. Just take out the silos. I remember telling you this, like going back years ago. I was during the Cold War. The blackest spot for a nuclear attack in Europe was Liverpool, because this is where all the materials for nuclear bombs was coming in and missiles into Liverpool and going around the silos. We were the blackest spot. And I really don't think that it's changed. I still think that will be the blackest spot. Or one of them. Or one of them. Toscana. Buonasera, Franco and Co. Very sad news. Oh, yeah, Brazy, yeah, he died. That's, yeah, he calls me, but he should call me for years. Just Brazy. Not that I look like him or he looked like me or anything like that. But he always called me Brazy, Franco Brazy. May he rest in peace, genius of a yes. Yes, he was. Brilliant defender. And Mr. B. R.I.P. Brazy. I'm going to get back to Myra's question. And she says here, Gibraltar needs to be given back to Spain as a British overseas territory, headland on Spain. It is. It's a part of. I keep saying, there used to be a lad who comes on, lovely fella from Gibraltar. He used to comment, and I always used to say, you know, jokingly. Well, I wasn't joking really, but I used to say, because he lived in Gibraltar, give Gibraltar back to Spain. See the way we hold on to a little bit of colonialism, even in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know whether the citizens down there, you know, the population of Australia and New Zealand still want to be associated with us. Could be friends. Could be friends, partners, but not associated. It's like Scotland today. Scotland's under the thumb, and Northern Ireland is under the thumb of Westminster. And this is why you get a hell of a lot of Scottish people saying, we don't want this. We don't want to be answering to Westminster. But what? We want our own independence, our own sovereignty. You see, so this is the way it is. Things keep going up on my screen. You can't see them, but I can. So you see the way it is, and this is the grip the EU have on the whole of Europe. The whole of Europe. Von der Leyen. She's horrible, eh? She's corrupt. Remember the drugs, you know, that Pfizer and things, and all their texts about it. And she deleted them. And they were saying, show us the text that you was. That's corruption. But the police can easily get them. And I don't see why. Why not? To show the corruption we're in the European Union. So the distraction, as I mentioned before, about Russia invading, and got people are scared, because they believe everything the West is saying. That's all propaganda. And they're forgetting that it's the distraction from all the migrants coming into Europe. Remember when I said about General Clark, Wesley Clark, in 1999, American general, and the paper he had, and the countries that they were going to invade and take out in the Middle East? Remember? The first on the agenda was Afghanistan. They couldn't do it. They were there for 20 years, couldn't do it. They were actually fighting fellas who went to war in sandals and on a bike with a rifle over the shoulder. That's who the Americans were fighting. Couldn't defeat them. Couldn't defeat them. Then they went in on a lie, a massive lie, kidology about weapons of mass destruction to Iraq. A massive lie for regime change. They went to Libya again on a massive lie, saying that, I'm sorry about this, itchy nose, saying that Muammar Gaddafi was a dictator murdering his own people. The same script as Saddam Hussein. And he said it about Gaddafi. If you don't know about Gaddafi, Gaddafi was he lived in a tent. And that's why did he live in a tent? He's the leader of the country. Because he's living in a tent until, he said, every Libyan has a house to live in. That's what he said. He was great to his people. He was great to his people. And yet the propaganda against him, by the Americans, by the way, was shocking. Really was shocking. The propaganda aimed at that man. And what did they do? They ended up killing him. That was Obama, that. Obama and David Cameron. Blood on their hands, then. And it's a failed state today. But this is what the Americans wanted. The last on the list is Iran, on the Wesley Clark's list. And who are they fighting today? Iran. What did Trump say? I'll blow them to smithereens. I'll burn them to a crisp. Just think about that. Just get rid of the lot. Think about it. That means every citizen, every Iranian, every single Iranian obliterated from the earth, from the planet. That's what he wanted. That's what he says. He said it on television. This is what kind of This is what kind of place we're living in today. Just wars. Also, what you've got is the massive distraction, because the idea was to destabilize. This is America. Destabilize the Middle East. All the people from war-torn Middle East would move into the only place that they could go. They didn't want to go to Africa because there's nothing there. So they come into Europe. And they've been doing it for years. But now what you've got, as Myra quite rightly said, 60,000 migrants just coming through into Kuwait, is it? Ceuta in Spain. Think about that. How many come into this country undetected? Have you noticed as well, they're not like babies in arms with their mothers. These are all young fellas. And I'm not going to get into that because we've all been labelled. There's every label out there we're accused of. And you can't say too much. That's the controlling part. Why do you think they had this COVID? Hey, you think COVID, look, COVID is man-made. It never came from a little bat somewhere in Yuan and China. Man-made. And it was man-made because they tried to find out and schemed how to control the world. And they did it successfully. Lockdown. You see, I'm a football fan like the rest of you out there. Football fans. And what we were watching our team, my team, Liverpool, playing behind closed doors, no one in there. I had written a play. It was going out on the 28th of that June. Yeah. And it was cancelled. It was cancelled because of the lockdown. I used to stream, well, I still do. I streamed Italy, giving you some idea. And the Spanish Steps. Now, if you stream it today, chock-a-block. But even more chocker then, because people are now, they're really not going on holiday. And I've been streaming Italy now, and I'm looking at beaches, beautiful weather, they're empty. Empty. So, tourism has gone awful for certain countries. I was watching a stream the week before last, and it was this fella, English fella, and he was walking around Barcelona, him and his wife, Spanish wife, and they were walking on the beach. He said, look at this. In Barcelona, then on the beach, it was shocking. So it's going to get worse because of these 60,000. But where will they all go? Where will they all go? They're saying that, you see, look, to leave a country, I mentioned war-torn before, so to leave a country, there's violence there, there's bombs going off, there's the war, terrible situations. So you leave that place. But Morocco, there's nothing happening there. And they're all leaving Morocco. They're all leaving it. And they're flooding into Europe. But as the Moroccans are leaving there, you've got other North African places. The likes of Libya. Thousands coming into Europe from Libya. Thousands. And I'm talking hundreds of thousands. And they're all piling into Europe. As I said, to destabilise Europe, that was the big American plan. And they've succeeded. And it's only getting worse. And this is why you have the propaganda of Russia's going to invade us. Come on. Come on. See what I mean? How daft it is. What would they want to do with us? Hey? What would they want to do with us? What would they want to do? Get into Luxembourg. Hey? Liechtenstein. So pathetic. They used to go on holidays. When I used to go to Italy, before I took ill, I used to meet Russians on holiday. On holiday. And I always remember talking to the couple. They were a nice couple. Forget where they were from. From here, like. Not from Liverpool, but from the UK, just chatting to them. And they said, the fella says, isn't it amazing? Russians are here. And I said, what do you mean? He said, they can't move. I said, why? He said, he was quite surprised. I said, they're a democratic society. It's a democratic country. They can do what they want. They can work if they got a job, say like in Australia. Yeah, they can work in Australia if they want, stay there. That's why you have lots of Russians in America. I said, so, I don't know where. He said, but I've always thought that it's, once you're a Russian, you can't get out of it. I said, you need to talk to some Russians, if you're not believing me. It's ridiculous. And that's the way it is. So people, are fixated. I did mention the Cold War. I did mention that after the Second World War, Cold War. I said it's all changed. It's all changed. I didn't know too much about Putin, I'm being honest, until all this happened. And then I've just found out about the man. And he got shut up all the oligarchs after Yeltsin. He was a balloon, him. I knew that he was a balloon, him. By allowing everybody in to steal the resources of Russia that has many resources. That's why the EU would love to get in there. And America. The resources Russia has is phenomenal. So you see the way it is, the propaganda, and all the immigrants coming in. Now, me talking about that, me just talking about, they'd say, I'm anti-American, wouldn't they? And they'd label me, what would they label me? Islamophobic. Because I'm just saying about illegal, not legal, illegal people coming in from different parts of the world, mainly the Middle East. And lots of them When they're asked, why are you coming to the UK? Why did you leave in the first place? Oh, what's on? Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. Honestly, I was watching some news this morning, and there was a fella on, an English fella, a bit of a reporter, independent, and he was asking this fella, honestly, one of the 60,000, and he was saying, why did he come? But he has an interpreter with him. The lad couldn't speak English, obviously. And he said, people are after me in Morocco. Why? Well, they think that I've done bad things. What bad things are they? He said, murder. That, you can't make these things up. So, for us to call anybody, not call them, not saying we're calling them, but to say, hey, hang on, why are all these coming here? Why are they going through the likes of France and Italy and Germany and all congregating in northern France to cross the Atlantic to get to here? Because northern France isn't war-torn, is it? Even Morocco's not war-torn. But they're just not, out of the 60,000, I don't think there were 60,000 Moroccans. I think they came from different parts of the Middle East, the majority of them. You see? And this is what's going on, people. It really is. But we've got to, especially me, I have to be very careful of what I say, because we're labelled with everything. All these labels. Haven't you noticed that all the labels that have come out? All the phobias. And to be accused of. You've only got to say something about the tiny little place in the Middle East where they wear tiny little hats. You've only got a bang, you know what you're called. If you say anything about them, you can't say nothing. You really can't. I can't. I'll be in a lot of trouble. But it's wrong. I'm not being funny. It's wrong to label people, because people can't speak their minds anymore. In other words, free speech is gone. Free speech is gone. I don't know whether they still do it in Hyde Park, where they have these speaker corners and people listen to them. Mostly religion, mostly religion. And I'm wondering if they still have Hyde Park Corner where people can speak. Could you imagine them speaking about the Middle East? And they don't want these people coming in. Be nicked. Get nicked. Or supporting, people that are actually being killed. We'll see what you're being said. It looks lively in Spain and Morocco. Oh, you wouldn't go, Mr. B. Ukraine are lucky Russia are just playing about. I think that's a great comment, because you're right. But now they've accelerated. They've accelerated. They just accelerate because the Russian people, we've had enough of this. That's what they're saying now. We've had enough of this, Vlad, Mr. President. And they are accelerating. I think they might have to take the whole of Ukraine, though. they do. Well, Putin turned around, didn't he, the other day and said the likes of Poland, Hungary and Romania can take parts back that was taken off them during the Soviet period. Parts of Poland, parts of Romania and parts of Hungary, you can have it back. That's what he said the other day. And I always remember the Polish fella a couple of years ago. That was, I don't know who he was, some politician out of their government, and he said, "Where the beavers, by the way, it's where the beavers." And he said, "That's Poland. That belongs to Poland." And when you look at the likes of the Banderites, that's where they were doing all the killing during the Second World War, exterminating hundreds of thousands of people. The Banderites. And the Banderites are still there today, fighting against Russia. So you see that there's lots of intricacies involving Ukraine, and we're supporting Nazis. Well, I'm not, but the country is. And they know. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know who they support. They know about Zelensky being the most corrupt person on the planet. How many, I was just going to say, how many homes has he bought out of the money he's confiscated? That's going to help Ukrainians. He's been taken it. And Mr. B says NATO are embarrassing. Yes. Phil says, yes, but the fucking Spain and free to travel anywhere after Spain grant them a status. Yeah, but he didn't realise, Sanchez, amnesty. But he was saying amnesty for some of the people that were there. Spanish are going mad. The Spanish are going mad. The ordinary citizens. So listening to them. That could be the end of Sanchez, by the way, politically. And Phil says, Frank, MI6 are the leaders. It's proven by the exposure of Integrity Initiative. I learned about this 5 years ago. MI6 is brilliant. You might think, hang on, you're just going on about it. But what I mean is, they get the cleverest people in. The cleverest. And that's why they're brilliant. Look, I know I'm going to say this, and just bear with me. I'm in pain here. Right, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We've always had a secret service. Always. You might think MI6 has been going, since James Bond. Just listen to this. Just listen to this. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. What's the old saying about hiding in the shadows? That's Shakespeare. That's Shakespeare. Spies. Life is but a walking shadow. Think about it. Think about it. You've only got to look at Christopher Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe, and you might think like homosexuality is like a new thing, where, people are against it, different countries are against it, whatever. This country was. Christopher Marlowe, the great writer, contemporary of Shakespeare, and he was homosexual, and he liked writing about the devil. And back then, you're talking like 1594, and back then, you can't be writing about that, and stop messing about with other fellas. And an agent was sent out to pick an argument, because he used to go to this inn and have a drink with his friends, his contemporaries, and they picked a fight with him, this agent, and killed him, stabbed him to death. Christopher Marlowe, the great Christopher Marlowe. And the agent was fined a shilling, the equivalent of a shilling. If you stole an orange or an apple, you were hanged by the neck until you were dead back in that day. And yet he murdered someone and he finds a shilling. But they didn't know that he was an agent. And that's what I'm saying. Now, getting back to today, with MI6, when Ian Fleming wrote about James Bond, Ian Fleming was intelligence during the war. I'm talking about the World War II, fighting the Nazis, fighting them horrible people. The people that Russia are fighting today, the Banderites, the Azovs, all Nazis. People don't believe that, But anyway, Ian Fleming wrote about a lad, an intelligence officer, who used to go behind enemy lines, a suave man, a man who could speak several languages, including Russian, including Mandarin, which is Chinese, as you know. So he could speak all these languages, especially European, without an accent. If he wanted to be, German, going behind enemy lines in Germany, getting all the information, even in the 30s before the war started. Perfect German. Not one of these, why have you, anything like that, David? He just went saying it. Do you fancy a baby? Do you fancy going to pics, but in German without an accent? And he was great. And that man was based on a real life character. And he became James Bond. So when you think about James Bond, I'll give you another idea here. I'm just trying to compare these two great characters. When you look at Sherlock Holmes and the description of him, everything about Holmes, the perfect fit was Basil Rathbone. Basil Rathbone. Now, when you look at James Bond, oh, by the way, Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock, he based it on a student at school who detected everything, things that would go missing, he'd find them. Sherlock. And when you look at the characteristics of this Bond fella, he was tall, suave, handsome, of this character, Bond. And it was based on, I know that you're not going to believe me, but it's absolutely genuine. James Bond was based on, in real life, Christopher Lee, the actor, who was in intelligence, going to all these crazy places, speaking their language perfect. So you see, we've always had, going back to Shakespeare, even before then, to be honest, but going back to Shakespeare, and Christopher Marlowe, and we've always had an agent, secret agents. And Mr. B says, we are puppets for handing over large amounts of dough. Yes, of course. But it's a big washing machine. I've always said it. It's a washing machine. It's the biggest washing machine in the world is Ukraine. The money's getting laundered left, right and centre. Remember that Lindsey Graham fella who just died? You see him on the telly, and he said to the last Ukrainian, we'll fight the Russians to the last Ukrainian. And he also turned around and said, there's nothing better. He was getting interviewed one day, and he was talking to this Ukrainian. He was in Kiev. And, the camera was there and the reporter. And he said, there's nothing better than a dead Russian. Nothing better than a dead Russian. Because he was a Russophobe. He's an Islamophobe. Iranian-phobe. He just hated everybody. And he has him lying in state. Johan, I didn't see you there, Johan. Greetings, General Secretary Carlyle, comrades. Smash the likes, or it's off to the gulags for the perpetrators. Off to the gulags. And hiya mate. Even Frank enjoying listening and absorbing on this fine Friday evening. I'm more worried about what's going on in Europe than Russia. Yes. Yes. Look, you see, honestly, just get onto this. If anyone is against what the European Union are doing, and you're a member of the European Union, they get ways to get rid of you. And you had Viktor Orban, and he said, I'm giving no money to Ukraine. I'm not giving money to him. He said it. He said, I'm looking after my own people here. They got rid of him, didn't they? They never killed him, but they fixed an election. There's a fella named Magyar there now. And he said, oh, what do you want, Vladimir Zelensky, that is. Vladimir. Vlad. What do you want? Yeah, up there. Go and buy yourself a vineyard in California. Go and buy yourself a football club. They only want 6 billion, Liverpool. Just imagine that. Fucking hell. Shouldn't have joked about that, should I? But anyway, you know, and this is what it's all about. Get rid of them. You had a fella named Georgescu in Romania who said, if I get in, no money to Ukraine, no money. We're looking after ourselves. We're looking after ourselves. Didn't get in. And yet, the people wanted them, hands down. The ordinary people, this is why the ordinary people are getting ignored. Now they've got a puppet in Romania. They're trying to get rid of Fico of Slovakia, I'm sorry. Not Slovenia, Slovakia. Trying to get rid of him. Trying to get rid of Vucic of Serbia. It's shocking what they're doing. The EU, von der Leyen, what fucking right does she have to cancel elections and put puppets in? Just tell them, please tell me, what right does she have? It's like Trump. What right did Trump, or what right does he do to put fucking tariffs on countries and sanctions on countries? What right does he give? What right does he give to go into sovereign countries, kidnap the president and the wife of the president and bring them to New York, parade them around and put them in jail? What right does he have that? Well, I know what he's doing. He's frightening their people, you know, countries. That's why he's gone. I'm taking, for fuck's sake. That's why he said, I'm going to Greenland and take part of that. Because the Russians and the Chinese are there. And it belongs, like, again, it's colonialism, really. But it belongs to Denmark. And Denmark are like, oh. See, Trump's building an empire. And Phil says, best guest ever on Tucker Carlson's disclosure of who is behind the wars. It is London Integrity Initiative. I mentioned it on Source show when I joined all the must-watch teaser. I mentioned it on, is that my show? On your show when I first joined. Oh, all must-watch TC. Tucker Carlson, yeah, he's brilliant, Tucker. Always follow him. Love it. Honest. Please like, subscribe, and share on other platforms. Please like, subscribe, and share on other platforms. Notice something different? I've got my smile back. And lovely Myra. Hi, Steve Mulholland. I love that, you know, when you let on to one another. You're a really lovely people. That's why I love doing these. I don't love them, to be honest, like, but just like looking at you and reading your comments. And the poet, are you a poet? All the old school giants of the left, like Clement Attlee, Nye Bevan, Tony Benn, Barbara Castle, Peter Shaw. Peter Shaw, yeah. I met him, you know. I met him when I was a student. Couldn't believe it. Shook his hand. Hello, Peter. Said hello. Lovely gentleman. And he was a gentleman. But he was hard at the social values of us. Glad you mentioned him. Poet lad, made up. We're all against the EU common market as it was then. Yeah. Yeah. It was Ted Heath who got us into there, wasn't it? The Tories. De Gaulle didn't want us then. Did you know that? De Gaulle, we don't want them in. He tried to stop us joining the common market. Have a guess. Yeah, there's a question for you. Have a guess. Who was the first fella, do you reckon, to like, you know, you just mentioned the common market there. Any one of you. The first fella to say, you know, listen, let's all fucking trade together, for God's sake, instead of wars. Who was the first fella to do it? Lorraine. Hiya, Frank, glad to see you. Well, do you think the earth is flat? Lorraine, no, darling, I don't. You've only got to look at, you know, photographs taken from space. It's round. I remember going, you know, on a plane. I was on a plane. And I was going to Turkey. The furthest place I've ever been to is Turkey. I only go to Italy, you see. But I wanted to go to a place called Kusadasi, which is near a place that I've always wanted to see. And that's Ephesus in Turkey. It's a big old Roman city. And when I got there, you know, it just blew my mind. Point is, I was looking out of the plane. I'm terrified of flying. And I've got there, I forget what you call it. I really forget what you call it, because I have to sit by the window. I'm terrified of flying. And I have to bring a doctor's note. So that they, you know, when you're booking in case some big fella from Bolton, 6'5", you know, you can't fight, sitting in my chair by the. So he just showed the girl, you know, the stewardess, I have to sit here because of my phobia. But anyway, flying over, and I was going, I think we were touching space. It was that high. And the earth was like this. Wasn't flat. Wasn't flat. No, I don't believe in it, Lorraine. If you see, I did something on the Titanic a few weeks ago, and you had ships, you had the Titanic. Let me just try to explain here. Right. You had the Titanic. I'm just going to use this. You had the Titanic there, right? Where am I? The coordination cell when you're looking there. So you have Titanic here, and you have the ship that's supposed to come and rescue it. But it was there, and it was missing the radio signals simply because, hang on, where am I? Simply because of the curve of the earth. The signals were going over. The signals were going over the ship coming from the Titanic, going over, because that's the curve, you see. And that was down there. The Titanic was up here. If it would have been flat, they would have just got it. The signals would have came right through. I hope that explains, Lorraine. I'm sorry. Spain being punished for taking a stand against the Epstein class. Says you what? Yes. Yep. And also, don't forget what Sanchez said to Trump. You're not taking any, we're not. You're not going to bring your planes out of here to go and bomb Iran. He says you're not using them. You're not using us as an aircraft carrier. Remember? That's why I like Sanchez. But the people now, Johan, have gone against them. Poet, they describe the EU as a club for big business. Yeah, that's what it is. Steve Mulholland, I'm Ira Page. Nice one. Nice one. And Gary Rigby. Hey, Gary. Even in every, I don't understand why they don't deport illegal immigrants. They know they are illegal, but don't deport them. It doesn't make sense. Of course, that's why I was mentioning it before. Not legal, illegal, and everybody should be deported. And I mean, a lot of them. And I'll tell you who else should be deported. You know, people who commit crimes, even if they're legal, book and deport them, get rid of them, so they won't commit another crime. That's me, though. I'll be lambasted for that. Oh, you can't do that. Why? Why can't I? Toscan, Russia doesn't worry me. It's the EU via the WEF that can't be trusted. When I listen to Burnham, all I hear is nothing but it's scary that something. Hang on. It's nothing but it's scary that something is okay. Yes. Yes. And Tony, I see that Burnham rat cozying up to another puppet, Zelensky. I know. The country needs to wake up and remove the skunks in the shadows. I like that. Like that. Like Tavo. Hi, Frank. Hi, Mike. Rip Baresi, yeah. Yeah. Franco Baresi. That's the others always call me, don't forget. Just call me Baresi. Always. And Phil says to understand how politicians are chosen for senior positions, Research Integrity Initiative hacker group called Anonymous. The revelations had to be discussed in the EU Parliament, I think, in 2018. I'm going to go right down. And Mike Davis says, 5'9", he wasn't the tallest. You're not talking about Christopher Lee, are you? Christopher Lee was is over 6 foot. Well, he's past now, isn't he? Well over 6 foot. I think he was 6'4". Christopher Lee. And Mike says, I booked an holiday and asked a lovely young lass if I needed a passport. Most are good, most are nice ones. That's a cracker, that. That's a cracker, that. Well done, you, Mike Davidson. That's a beaut. It's like the Dutch in South Africa. Myra's from South Africa, you know. Myra Page. South African girl. And Carl Leadham. Do you think the Commonwealth Games are outdated and stand for events that are not wanted? Yeah, been outdated for years. For years, Carl. And Phil says 2019 NATO employs 500,000 bots, human and AI, to influence social media. It was so successful, it remains. The main contractor is in Ukraine. Who do you think, Duncan? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he did say that, didn't he? We'll send them back to the Stone Age. They've been going for over 3,500 years, Iran. And he's talking about sending them back to the Stone Age. Hasn't a clue. Nice shout, that, Johan. I like that. The most dangerous thing is to tell the government the truth. That's Voltaire. Voltaire said that. The most dangerous thing is to tell the government the truth. How about that? And Phil says Ukraine and the ice deal are joined at the hip. Yes, Phil. Good one. And Steve Mullins, there was only a 25% turnout in the Manchester mayor election, but they had a poor selection of parties that almost support the same policies. Do you know what? No one, I haven't heard anybody saying, how did Burnham get that job? Prime Minister. There was no fight. There was nothing. It's just, you go after the by-election, win, and you're the Prime Minister. That's how corrupt we are now. And Mr. B says Spain 100% orchestrated. These protests that go on don't get organised without the police and government getting a sniff. So how can 50k fighting age males storm the coast of Spain just out of nowhere. They were all, obviously, they were all like, I'm not saying chosen or anything, but they all had a meeting place. And then they all converged on the mark to go. That's what's happened. And they went. And I think it's like lockdown. Let's control. Let's see if we control a mass movement. And that was the likes of that 59,000 people crossing. We can control it. We can do anything now. That's what's going on. That we can do anything now to anybody. And Phil says Schengen area, Spain will fast track status for all the invaders, all the invasion. They are free to travel and live anywhere in Europe. LMAO. Exactly. Anywhere. And Mr. B says just 100 concerned males, dads, get rounded up by the plot. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I've got a 14-year-old granddaughter, and I worry about her every day. Because she has to go to school. Her mother takes her. Her mother goes to work. Her mother can't pick her up. So she has to get the train or the bus. Because she lives out of her catchment area. And she's a pretty girl, is Sophia. And I'm like that, terrified. Honestly, if I could walk, I'd go every day and pick her up. Every day. But I can't. So I'm a concerned granddad. And Toscana, spot on, Franco, re-COVID, Fauci and the rest should be locked up for life. Throw away the key. Yes. He's calling the Fifth Amendment the other day when he was being questioned by the Senate. Fifth Amendment. Apologies for the caps on my newsletter, says Mr. B. Oh, I like the caps because I've got me. Do you know what I'm seeing? I've seen these spots now. I was told that you will see spots floating around the ice. And if it's worse, it's gone worse. Because letters disappear on me. If there's big long words, letters disappear. And I have to guess the word sometimes. But these spots now are getting worse. Gary, hey Gary. Tally ho, Frank, dear boy. Liverpool need to pull the finger out. And we've been going so well, haven't we? Without any football. It'll get worse, Frank. Well, that's just, big old Frank and chat. And Mr. B says, is it also a distraction from the Fauci COVID era that's going on? Of course it is. Just imagine if there was nothing going on. Everyone would be glued. Well, the likes of me and you and everyone on here would be glued to what's going on. for that airing. There's always distractions. And Edward, oh, Myra. Oh, Myra. Hi, Edward. It's me, mate. It's me. I frankly really believe if the atomic bomb had not been discovered, there would have been a lot more World Wars than two. That's a cracking point, that, because the Japanese wouldn't have dropped melt. They wouldn't have given in. They were actually defeating the Americans. And they just said, oh, let's fucking drop them. Not one, but two. Tell them we've got a load more back in the States. So the older guy went over. Nagasaki, Hiroshima. And don't forget, the atom was actually split in Liverpool by Sir James Chadwick, not Oppenheimer. And they had to send for him. Hey, James, how do you do this goddamn thing? It's easy, mate. Yeah, look, you get that. See that there? Yeah, it's done. Could you imagine? It's like a Russ Abbott, isn't it? A Russ Abbott sketch. Yeah, mate, yeah, just do that there. Yeah, you got your bomb now. I'm getting home. There's a match next week. Want to see you. Great to see you, David. Hope Sue and everyone, Sharon, and all the rest of the fanboy. They're great. It was a bunch of students shouting verbal poo, one identified. I was by a bunch of students shouting verbal, one identified. See what I mean? You can't say too much, can you? You can't say too much. And Phil says the West Lords of Putin until they realise Putin no dancing bear when he was sectored inflation in Russia was 1,000% Putin saved Russia. He did. He got rid of all the oligarchs. There's a fella named Bill Brown, and I was listening to him a few years ago. This is before the SMO. And I'm listening to this fella, a Yank, and he was just giving verbal diarrhea of to Putin, about Putin. I'm going, wonder why. I wonder why he's doing that. And he killed my my lawyer, my Russian lawyer. His Russian lawyer was, he was. For treason. He's working with the Americans and him. And I was reading somewhere that he's a knight now here in this country. Bill Browder, whatever his fucking name is. Shows you how phony it is. Yeah, Putin did save Russia. That's why they love him. That's why Putin's loved. 80% of the public. But there are rumbles in the Kremlin saying, get this done. But I think he's going to get it done. And Mr. B, as a carrot says, he'd kill Putin. Do you ever remember the fella named Navalny? No one has heard of him. Only the Americans. And he was up for trial in Russia, so he said, no, get out of the country, go and fuck off. Go wherever you want. So they wouldn't put him in jail. And the Americans got him, the CIA, gave him $14 million. He said, get back, cause commotion in Moscow. And this was all planned, pre-planned. And that $14 million. And they would go, I always remember watching a program, and they were going around. I wanted to know who this Navalny was. And they were going around ordinary Russians saying, you know, that never heard of him. And the Americans were coming out with their press, the way they do, promoting him, saying, you know, the great opposition leader to Putin. That was the end of him. That was the end of Navalny. Because if Russia would have been thrown, he was only 2% of the whole of the Russian population would have supported Navalny, 2%. The rest, 98%, had never even heard of him. And they realised then that he would have been a puppet to the Americans. And that's who would have been in charge, just like Boris Yeltsin. And then he would have invited them all in. Yeah, take what you want, boys and girls. Gary says, the problem is, Frank, when the Berlin Wall came down, there was no transition for Yeltsin to inherit the president. The president, other than Vladimir Putin, says, yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. I tell you who became president before him, though, and he was only a president for a very short time. And then Putin took over. That's when Yeltsin went. And that was Medvedev. Now, Medvedev, I'm telling you honestly, Johan, who comes on here, he'd tell you, if Medvedev would be president today, you'd have nowhere Ukraine left. He would have just carpet bombed every day. He would have carpet bombed Ukraine. There would have been no Kiev. That would have been flattened. Everywhere would have been flattened. And back under Russian rule. That's how pathetic the EU is. Because, you know, they don't realise that they've got a moderate, a very good, moderate, president, as in Vladimir Putin. Because it would have been Medvedev, gone. It would have been all over now. There would have been no Zelensky. Certainly would have been no Azovs, Banderites, or any of them. They would have been gone. And Johan says Boris Yeltsin was a drunkard who sold his soul and his country to the highest bidder, majority of whom were tiny hats, who relocated to Tel Aviv after Putin came into power. Spot on. And he did. He did, Johan. That's why you've got Zelensky. That's why you have him in America. You know, now the other day attending Lindsey Graham's funeral, but he wasn't. He was there for money and arms and, missiles and talking to Netanyahu. And they relocated to Tel Aviv. Oh. Do you know what I was saying about destabilizing? And Ukraine, and Iran was the last on the list. You know what the reason was, don't you? Why leave Iran? And that was to get Russia involved in a war. So they were scratching their heads. How did he do? Well, that Putin fella said, "Hey, listen, we don't want any NATO on our doorstep. You better leave Ukraine alone with NATO." Ding! The light bulb went ding. And that was it. The provoking of the bear and the poking of the bear. Therefore, the overthrow in 2014 of the legitimate, democratically elected government of Ukraine to put the puppets in. To get them involved in a war so that they wouldn't take sides with Iran. And that's what it's all about. And Toscana didn't storm it till Vance that we had free speech and the lying bastard. And Burnham is just as bad. Burnham's worse. I'm telling you now, Burnham is going to be worse. And as my old mate says, Albania, Steve Holland, Albania is in NATO and not war-torn. But the nearest EU country is Greece, and you can get a ferry from Albania to Corfu. But why? And travel all the way through Europe to the UK. Simple as that, isn't it? And you know what? When you go back to 97 and the breakup of Vietnam back to the Chinese, Hong Kong. So when they were talking to Chinese people who wanted to come here, you had to have a certain amount. And I'm talking about thousands of pounds. If you've got thousands of pounds, you know, a certain amount. Say like, I'm not just, I don't know, I forget what it was, thousands of pounds. Say like £20,000. Have you got 20 grand? Yeah, show us your proof. Yeah, 20 grand. Okay, you can go. Anyone else? No. They were stuck there. Do you ever remember the students' uprising, not an uprising, demonstration a few years ago? We don't want to be, we hate China. Get us out of here. Who started that? CIA, MI6. Students. That's who started it. And there was a billionaire, a Chinese billionaire, and he's in jail now in China. And Phil says, I wonder why. I wonder why. And Steve Mulholland says Lviv might be given back to Poland. Yeah, it will be. Putin said it the other day, this week. I always forget what day I'm on. This week he only said it the other day in a big speech. Poland, Romania, and Hungary. Have them back. This is why it's going to be a little rump steak that'll be no use to anybody. That's Ukraine, by the way. And Phil says the headquarters to number 2 Temple Court, Knights Templar. You cannot make it this up, no. Knights Templar. I did something on them years ago. Knights Templar. The Knights Templar. Foreign Office says, hiya Cody. Hiya Cody, mate. Ali, good evening, boys and girls. Good evening, Ali. And Johan says, we have liberated Europe from fascism, but they will never forgive us for it. Says, yeah, the greatest war leader, in my opinion, in the Second World War, Georgy Zhukov, Marshal Zhukov. Not a truer words have never been spoken. Brilliant. And what did Trump say a few months ago? We won the war. He wouldn't know who that man is. Marshal Zhukov. Wouldn't know who he is. I would have loved to have seen his statue. You know, if I would have gone to Moscow, I would have just gone and seen his statue. You see him sitting on a horse. Romanian gave energy to Ukraine since the start of the war. Now we have problems with it. The Ukraine told us that they will sell us energy. Sell us. We gave everything for free. Everything. There you go. I was talking about before about Georgescu. And Phil says Lindsey Graham was rushed home from Kiev by Pizza Express. He was in a pizza box like this. Closed casket. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Pizza box. Hey Frank, enjoying this. So having a break from pack and moving on. Don't like Zealand. Where are you moving? Where are you going? To a new house. You're not leaving us, are you, Maggie? If you're moving to a house, you know, good luck with that. And there's nothing more. Honestly, there's nothing more stressful than moving house. Did you know that? And Christian DeWitt, what a name that is, eh? Christian DeWitt. It's like Cedric Lopez, isn't it? Hey, Cedric Lopez starring. Cedric Lopez, you know, one there like that, and one there, and Christian DeWitt, you know, starring in a film. The Zelensky Files. Just imagine that. Starring Cedric Lopez and Christian DeWitt. Sounds Hollywood names, don't they? I can't get that. What's the little gif? I can't get that, you know. Is that a time bomb or a bin? Well said, Christian DeWitt says, Johan. But I understand, we can't say too much or we'll all get into trouble. Why do you think Israel loves Ukraine so much? Because that's their people, says Christian. Yes, and the leader. And you're getting the fellas who have been taking all the money being found out. And where did they run to? Israel. Because that's who they are. They're not Israelis, but they belong to the race. Well said, Christian. Yeah, and first, Frank, the invasion of Spain, possibly the end for Pedro Sanchez here. Who was Sanchez upset? There you have it. Yes. Yes. The Trump man. You're not taking no planes are flying from here to go and bomb innocent people. That's what he said to Trump. And Christian says, all the neocons are Jewish crypto commies from New York who turned on the Soviets after 1975 UN resolution in which they claimed Zionism is racism. I might say something controversial here. I might say, I used to lecture about, from 1566, about the Irish, right up to the present day. And in the 1980s, when we had the Northern Irish problems from 69, they were terrible, don't get me wrong, but the Irish Republican Army were legitimate. And you had the Americans feeding them with money and even arms, by the way. It's what you call NORAID. And they were giving them everything. And Thatcher turned around and she branded them terrorists. So you say it's so easy to brand somebody anything if you're in a government. But they tried to brand only recently Russia as a terrorist state. No one took a blind bit of notice of that. But you're right there, Christian, smashing. Lots of intrigue. And whoever voted for Sanchez in Spain has put the final nail in the country's coffin. And Johan said, I've been on enough flights to know that it's not flat, the earth. That's a reply to Lorraine, who said, do you think the world's earth? Do you think the earth's flat? And Christian says, there are more proof to show earth is round, and there are more rebuttals to flat earthers claim. Yes. It's incredible. You've only got to look at, the other planets taken by spacecraft going through. They're all round, every one of them. And why should we be the only flat thing? And Myra says, the lovely Myra says, the famous quote about people in the same trade meeting together was written by Adam Smith in his 77 6 book, The Wealth of Nations. Is that the quote I said before? About the most dangerous thing is telling the government the truth. It's true that. And Ali said, Frank Sanchez's best friend is Alex Soros. Go away, is he? I didn't know that. They're brilliant. Learn something new every day. I worked in the Netherlands alongside two Spanish people. I told them why they left. They said there is no work in Spain anymore. And that was like 8 years ago. Spain is going down hard. It's a shame because Spain is a beautiful country. Beautiful. Like most European countries, beautiful. We shape the world, with everything. Inventions, art, literature. In other words, culture. We shape the world. Engineering, you name it, we did it. And Zali says, in my opinion, European countries needs real leaders who love those countries. If not, in a maximum of 10 years, Europe is gone. What happened for the Europeans is not fair. We are destroyed. Can't argue with that. And he carries on by saying, Rip El Capitano Baresi, one of the greatest defenders this world has ever seen. Yes. Ah, yes. And Stephen Coughlin. Good evening, Frank, and fellow Reds. Hope all as well. Good evening, Steve. Good evening, Steve. Burnham just a puppet, like Keir Starmer says. Yes, of course he is. Yeah, he certainly is. Tony and Derby. What are they? Tony and Derby. Is that two in the derbies? Hey, Frank, fella. Hope you're well, Gaffer. Which midfielder would you sell? Jones, Elliott, raising funds for Iriola right back. He'll never walk alone. Elliott. I didn't like he caused all that. Look, I'm just saying it because this is not football. I was doing it last night. I'll just say this though, Tony. And it was Szoboszlai who started all that nonsense, with the armband. It was his fault. The most senior player on that field playing football was Curtis Jones. He'd been there since he was a child. A little boy running around kicking a ball at the academy. And Szoboszlai, who's been here for 2 minutes, just bypassed him and gave it to Costas, who's only come back from loan. The armband. As I said, He's the most senior. He was the most senior player on that field last night, or the night before, whenever the fucking thing was. And so Bosley caused it all. I'd keep Curtis Jones because he's a scouser. I like Curtis Jones. He takes no fucking messing, you know. That's why he went right over to Sir Bosley. He said, "You fucking prick. Walking past me." You can imagine that, can't you? Oh, but yes, I think Tom's brilliant. But I'd sell Elliot. I'd sell him rather than Curtis Jones. And Johan, reburn him after Stormy. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yes. Yes. Steve Cochran. So we're all doomed under a Labour government that takes the biscuit. There's no change, no. Even if the Tories were in, we're all doomed under them as well. Labour needs to fuck up. I'm not saying that. Say I haven't sworn about it. The chat. But I have to say it. Labour needs to fuck off with their two-tier policing as the country is finished. And Stephen says, we have a culture change, so we're losing our identity. It's bad news. That's a good shout, though. I'll tell you for a while. I'll give you an example of identity. And I was asked to take 3 students around, architect students, university. And they said, "Well, you go on, Frank, you know the buildings." And I said, "Okay." And I said, and they, I was showing them around St. John's Gardens, St. George's Hall, the Sessions House, the library, the gallery, the museum. And they were highly impressed with what I was telling them. They knew all about them, but, they knew the buildings, but they didn't know what I was telling them. And walking down Dale Street, and they said, "Where are we going now?" I said, "Well, we're going to go into the town hall, see the town hall, exchange flags, Castle Street." And then from there, I said, "I'm going to be leaving you." And he said, "How do you go?" I said, no, let me finish. I said, "Where we're going, I'm just sure I seen a fly go past. Or it could have been my cataract. I'm fucking sure of it." Anyway, I said, "No, we're going down to see the library, the Cunard, and the Port of Liverpool buildings." And he didn't know where they were. He didn't know what they were. They didn't know what they were. Because years ago, some prat from the Liberal Council called them the 3 Graces. And I said, "I want you to guess where they are. They're on the pier head, on the waterfront. Iconic." Until one fella said, "Are you talking about the 3 Graces?" See what I mean? You lose your identity if it keeps on going. There's so much culture going from this. Me and Johan are doing a thing, and it's art and literature. Now, you might think, "Oh, fuck off, art and literature." But believe me, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And Phil says to Stephen, yes, that weird Zach Polanski wouldn't apologise. No police action. 2-tier. And Stephen says Liverpool Council and their bus lanes with people getting fined on a daily basis. It's bad. I don't know anything about that now. I'm being honest. It's lost me. Far too many dog poo do-gooders. Too many do-gooders in the world. Fucking hell, it's going worse. Too many do-gooders in the world are wrecking the country. Yeah, you're right about do-gooders, but are we do-gooders by telling the truth? Yeah. So we're in the same category, unfortunately. Just by telling the truth and making comments like that. And Johan, for ages we've been gaslighted to believe it was the left versus right in politics. In reality, it's us versus them. We have more in common with the citizens of other countries than we have without our own politics, with our own. Absolutely. I always get on when I go abroad. Always. I got stuck in a deck chair once and I couldn't get out. But it wasn't a deck chair. I was on the roof because I was in Sorrento and there's hardly a beach in Sorrento. So I was upstairs and there was in a pool on the top of the pool at the hotel was chocker. I couldn't get a chair, a deck chair or anything. So anyway, I went up on the roof and it was just flat, brilliant, deck chair, not deck chairs, but those chairs that you just sit on. I suppose you've got them in your garden now. Not canvas ones, the plastic ones. And I seen this fella and I looked over and he had his legs through the arms and getting his back to and the backs of his legs. And I went, do that. So I got my legs in. Sitting there like that, get me back to the backs of my legs. Oh, that's great. Couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of the fucking chair. And the lads went and I felt terrible, to say to Sir Fable, can you get me out of here? I said, I'll get out somehow. And I was with the other one, that's when I was with her. And she had to tip me up to get me out. Said, what are you like? Is me back done? Stuck in a fucking chair. See, that Tony Coughlin's got me cursing. Toscana says Fauci isn't that clever. His house was raided and they found his diary where he stated that COVID was from a lab, not from an animal. But I said that at the beginning, didn't I? I knew that it was man-made. I'll tell you what else was man-made. And you might go, nah, but I'm telling you now. And they tried it out in Africa. So I'll tell you what it was. AIDS. I'm telling you now. AIDS in the late 70s. They tried it out in Africa. And African seamen. Sailors. Genuine. Then you had, the early sailors who were saying what they were, but they were catching it. And Phil, Frank, I read the Russians finished off Japan. Japanese were evil in the wars. Ask the Chinese and soldiers. Yeah, you're right. They were horrible. China, they had a 30-year war with them. They went into like villages or little towns of China, fucking slaughtered a lot of them. Japanese slaughtered the Chinese. Cody. They started it. So I've lost the thread now, Cody. Once I start losing the thread, that's it. And Steve, we are losing our freedom of speech. Yes, we've lost it. Not losing it, we've lost it. And Ali to Phil. Nagasaki was the most religious city in Japan. Second bomb went there. And the US were desperate to show the USSR their atom bomb. And the USSR were desperate to show the first man in space. That's what got Amira to Stephen. No one can take your freedom away. People give their freedom away. Yes, cracker. Yeah. Excellent stuff. Great comments tonight, Wonderful. The most dangerous atomic bomb in the world now is a Russian one called Satan II. Yeah. And they have a lot. China also have 61 bombs, 61 atomic bombs in one atomic rocket. And the Yanks wanting to start a war with them. I'm sorry if any Americans come on here. I don't mean you personally. I mean your deep state and the puppet regime of the deep state, which is in the White House now. And Johan, that Navalny twat, I never swore it was him, went to the same Yale fellowship as Maria Mercado, who wanted to ruin her own country. For people who don't know, Maria Mercado, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And this is how corrupt the Nobel Peace Prize is now. She begged Donald Trump to go and bomb her country, Venezuela. How can you give a fucking peace prize to someone who wants to, who's asking another country to go and bomb their country, kill people? And when I said before, I did mention Venezuela, what right does Trump have to go in and arrest? Not arrest, but he fucking kidnapped him. Maduro and his wife, president of Venezuela, and put him in a jail in New York after parading him around New York, saying, look at this prick. And no one batters an eyelid in Europe. No one. So, Maria Mercado is Venezuelan. And I'll tell you now that she will become the president of Yugoslavia after Trump has enough oil. Because that's what he said to me the other day, where we've got the oil. The oil is flowing from Venezuela. Is he giving fucking the money to Venezuela? To the ordinary people? Fucking horrible prick. Stephen, look at Assad a few years back, killing innocent Syrians and wrecking a beautiful country in Damascus. Stephen, you've got it wrong, lad. Honestly, you're totally wrong. I'm not going to explain because I'm tired, but that is completely... You've heard of propaganda, haven't you? See, if you were to join me before, I said about this fella, some lunatic of the American general, Wesley Clark, he came out with a paper and said about these countries they wanted to destroy and have regime change in the Middle East to destroy Europe. Syria was one of them with Bashar Assad. They blamed him for barrel bombing his own people. It was shocking what they were doing to that man. Who have you got there now? You've got a fella there who's president, who was head of ISIS. And what were they? They were the head choppers. You're fucking seeing it on the TV. You're seeing it in footage of fucking people getting their heads chopped off by this fella. See what I mean? You've got it completely and utterly wrong. Damascus is over 3,000 years old. And it was the very first cosmopolitan city in the world. Over 3,000 years ago. And Johan, Stephen, what's El Junior or El Sharia or whatever the fuck his name is doing to his own citizens? I've never seen that. There you have it, Stay. Just told you that, mate. NATO thought they would have control of the Black Sea in 2014, says Phil. Absolutely right there. Crimea is the only Russian into warm waters. Into Russia and into the warm waters. In 2014, NATO thought they'd cut Russia off. Laughing my off. The rest is history, as they say. Yes. Andy Burnham, a dangerous man like Keir Starmer, so we're no better off under the new lead. No. And Phil, NATO was formed to defend against the Warsaw Pact. The pact disappeared 35 years ago. NATO should have been dismantled, of course. Should be dismantled now, today. Can everyone hit the likes for Frank, please, says Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. And Natasha, hi, Frankie. Are you drinking bitter? Why? What made you say that? Are you drinking bitter? No. Do you mean this? It's water. Can't drink. But when I get better, me and Johan are going to drink a bottle of vodka each. And we're going to play the thing, Last Man Standing. Cody says, I think being an air traffic controller is more stressful, Frank. Hence, you don't like flying. Yeah, because I said about moving out, didn't I? But you're right. Do yourselves a favour. I think it's a cracking little thing as well. A cracking little, if you... I tried to get it up. And I couldn't get it. I've seen this film. And it's called 2:22. You know the time. And I couldn't get it. And I thought, fucking hell. Because it's a cracking film. And it's about an air controller. Yeah, Cody, lad. Air controller. It's really good. Clever as well, I like clever films. Cody says, we've all moved out numerous... Yes. I can vouch for that. Me, Cody. And Johan says Frank Christian sent a juice box. Oh, right. I couldn't make it out, you see. Thanks for that, Johan. Thank you. And there's Stephen. Zelensky, a con artist in the making. He's bad news. It's not in the making. He's already a con artist without being in the making. And Cody says, imagine being an air traffic controller moving house going through a depot. If you can stream 222, what's the fella's name? Michael. I forget his name. Michael somewhere. Because there's 222s. There was one made a few years ago about gangsters. Because when and I said, no, not that one. I was fucking awful as well. But this one, honestly, it's good. 222. Air traffic controller. And clever. It's clever. Oh, I forget his name. Smashing little Phil. And Phil says, Johan, where are you now? Don't ask. Don't ask. And Ollie, Frank, I remember the 90s, people used to be friends to help each other in Romania until American capitalism kicked in. Now we hate each other. Everything what matters is money. There are no friends anymore. That's sad not to say. And Johan, why did you ask? I've got to fucking read this out now. Phil, I'm in Chelyabinsk, near the Kazakh border. I think he's going to get to China. China is all you want. The little faces on there, Phil. And so Phil finally got the VPN where, after ages, couldn't watch the live streams for a week. And Cody, Viva España, throw them all out. Viva España. And so, grazie Franco and chatters for tonight. So much going on in this crazy batshit world. So much to discuss. Hope you all have a great weekend. Looking forward to the match versus Leeds. Yeah. Sunday. What fucking day is it being played? Is it being played in our night time? Because I nearly missed it the other night. I thought it was being played on Thursday night. But it wasn't. It was through our Wednesday, wasn't it? After midnight. Can you let me know before you go? Before I go? What time it's being played? Is it on Saturday night? the early hours Sunday morning. That's all I mean. Have a good weekend, Toscana, sweetheart, and look after your boy. Okay. And Phil says, Joanna, you are seeing a lot of the world, yeah? Mind stretched by a new idea or sensation never shrinks back to its former dimensions. See, the thing is, when you go to places, you should remember them because they're the memories you have. Good memories, bad memories. And you're one to Toscana. Take care, Tosk. Love and prayers for your family. Have a great weekend. Lovely. True, Phil. It's a beautiful world we live in, ruled by maniacs. Can I go right down, please, people? I'm sorry. Hang on a minute. What's that? Never seen that. Only 2 bus lanes in Liverpool. Time to bring back anger for serious crimes, Frank, says Stephen. No, I'm totally, I'm really totally against honest capital punishment. But I understand that. Children, if there was one crime to bring back anger, the death penalty, it would be crimes against children. Some horrible crimes against kids. I look at that American stuff, fucking hell. This fella, he raped a 9-year-old girl and killed her. And tried to, I'm not telling you. Look, horrible. Got collars anyway. Phil. Frank, comedy writers would struggle to beat the narrative COVID. The Chinaman ate a bat and was believed. Yeah. You're right. They started it, the Japs, not the people, but their leader. It's a good shout, that, Cody, because, look, all leaders start wars. It's not fucking Joe Bloggs down the road who starts a war. It's the fucking president or prime minister or, a dictator of the country that starts wars. And think tanks. You're talking about Pearl Harbor, aren't you, Cody? See, the thing is, Cody, with Pearl Harbor, Johnson knew it. Roosevelt knew about it, and he could have avoided it. Could have avoided it easily. It's just like Thatcher knew about Galtieri when he invaded the Falklands. She knew about it. She could have stopped. Like the previous Labour government did. Jim Callaghan's government. And Phil, Frank, from the memory age started when an African man ate a monkey. Or shagged a monkey. No girls are here now, you see. Lisa Frank and Friends, says the lovely Myra Page. Love that lady. and our little Toscana. Our later Myra, lovely. Thank you for joining us tonight. She's a lovely lady. And Cody says, our seamen used to bring them back though. Is that a little double entendre there? Our seamen used to bring them back. Franco, Ali says, in my opinion, the only Aryan president from the US cannot be controlled was JFK. Yes. That's why they killed him. Yes. Trump is just a puppet. Yes. A pawn. Yes. Like others before him. Yes. You know who controls the US? Yes. Do. That's what we've been talking about. The Easy Gate. The Easy Gate. Who sang that? The Easy Gate, man. That was Donovan, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. Was it Donovan? Yeah, Donovan, the Easy Gate, man. That's for the older people like myself who fucking know who Donovan was. And Phil, Frank, don't play last man standing, especially as you will only be back on your feet. First time in years, I fall and break something else. Oh, that's a cracker. I like that. Funny. And Michael Houseman, that's him. He was in Game of Thrones as Carlyle, was he? I've never ever watched that. But you've never watched it. Oh, that's right. Good actor. He's good in that, you know. Try and watch it. 2:22, the time, you know. 2:22. You can get it. Michael Houseman, good. And I like the girl in it as well. She's nice. And Phil says, Frank, seeing Iranians now using very powerful missiles. Ted Postle believes they are more powerful than the original way. Yank base being obliterated. Yeah, the bases are. I reckon that they've got a nuke, you know. Not just one. I'm telling you now. And he'll be the first country to go. Go. I'm telling you now. And you're playing Leeds on Sunday evening. Are we? Sunday evening? It's a 9 p.m. kickoff. Oh, good. Is that art? It must be, mustn't it? It must be our time. Should be fun. The camera of the mind is a wonderful thing. What a fucking comment. Brilliant. Brilliant. Love that. We see everything, don't we? I remember a little black lad, and he was autistic, and he remembered his. I don't know whether it was his teacher or as much, something like that. And they were walking along the embankments where the Houses of Parliament were facing, you know. And when he gets home, he draws them, every detail. Can anyone remember that? Little black lad. It was incredible. One look, just like what you said, Cody. The camera of the mind. But it can, the camera of the mind also can conceal hidden things that you don't want to see. You know, through your life, you know, we do have our bad experiences. I know I have. I just don't want to remember them. And sometimes they come back when I'm just fucking sitting there and I go, fuck. Know what I mean? But that's a cracker, that. I love that. And Cody says, no, I'm not Frank. They butchered China before. Yeah, I know. I know. Great comments tonight, by the way, boys and girls. Frank, you're spot on about think tanks, says Phil. We've got them here. Not loads of them. You know, you're talking about the Illuminati and the other thing that you mentioned, the Red Cross. The Knights Templar. It's not Pearl Harbor. I'm sorry. All right, okay, Cody. I'm sorry, mate. Okay. No, but Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt knew about it, you know. He knew there was attack imminent and he could have stopped it. But he didn't. But it's all the little islands, you see. Like Hawaii. And that's what the Americans wanted. And the British. Oh, the likes of Burma. Well, Burma's not an island, but they had there in Singapore, Britain, usual. Fucking colonialism. Our seamen brought back monkeys. Do you know what? When I was a student, I went to this fella's house, fellow student. And he said, come on, meet me uncle. I said, okay. So I went and seen his uncle. He used to say it funny, you know. Do you want to see, do you want to come up and see me uncle? I said, what for? He said, oh, no, he's a cracking fella, you know. So I said, okay. Just to fucking please him. So anyway, I went to see his uncle. And I'm sitting there, all of a fucking sudden, this fucking big monkey jumped on me. A monkey. His uncle collected money, and they were laughing the fucking heads off. I ran out. I said, that fucking frightened me, you. He said, oh, it's only a minute. I said, fuck off. Went home. Got the bus home. What? Your uncle's cracking for her, you know. Fucking hell. Fucking monkey, a big monkey. I'm not talking a chimpanzee, you know. I'm talking this other. Wasn't an orangutan, you know, them monkeys things. Got the big long curly tails. Just jumped on. Fucking. And Phil says the new capital punishment centre has been designated. Hartlepool, no messing there. Okay, now. Go away. Go away. Stephen, good night, God bless Frank and fellow chatters, so peace and love and unity, everyone. And have a fantastic weekend as we get ready for Leeds United, so up the mighty Redmen. So please stay safe, guys. You'll never walk alone. Stephen, thank you. That's lovely. I lose the thread sometimes, so says Cody. I mean, in the end, we all do. We all do. Cody's laughing his little head off now. Put us on your shoulder and make a dance. The monkey. Mad. Frightened me to knife. Fucking did it. I was just sitting there, like, you know, talking to the uncle. I was just talking to him. And the next, just fucking flew at me. It's a knife job. Well, that's one of the most frighteningest things I've had. But I've had 2 incidents in my time. And both happened in France. One of them startled me, and the other I was quite unaware of until later on. Johan knows about them. Told him. And they happened. But that was the most frighteningest thing I've seen. Well, experienced was the monkey. Grabs hold of my head, you know. I had long hair, big beard. I wasn't a hippie or anything, you know what I mean? Well, it's just a laugh. But as I said, I had 2 experiences in France. One I was in awe, and the other I was unaware of. So how are they experiences that you're unaware of? One of them. And you want to be laughing his head off. Not laughing like, but he knows what has happened. And Phil says, John, hang on. Frank, John Mearshmeyer has stopped. Oh, go away, has he? Go away. I like Mearshmeyer. But I like Jeffrey Sachs better. Those are the 2 of them. But Mearshmeyer I like, don't get me wrong. Phil, thanks for that. And Phil, Frank the Younger Monkey. Oh, and yeah. Said it was a French spy. Is that what you were getting at? Hartlepool. Yeah, they said it was a French spy. Fucking monkey, come on. Can you imagine them trying to interrogate it? Stop talking gibberish. And Cody, good and bad memories. We take rough with the smooth, yes. Top of the world chat. Isn't that nice? Oh. And me, my internet's on and off. Oh, Maggie. Oh, Maggie, I'm so sorry. You never told me if you might have done, you know, because I asked, didn't I? And I had to scroll down. I had to miss a few comments out because I had to finish, you see. I'm hungry. Do you know what I'm having? I remember that Francine, she got me some sausages once. She said, hey, Dad. I said, okay. I never do sausages. Sausages? This fella, fucking hell. Sausages? And anyway, she got me them. Lovely. They were Lincolnshire sausages. And, oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I just took some out now, the freezer, well, this morning. So I'll have them tonight after the show, because I don't eat anything before the show, you see. Or I'll be. So anyway, I'm having them. But the best sausages are that. And if you've had them, you know what I mean. And pork with apple. Pork with apple. Best sausages ever. Because, as I said, I was with our fiancée and she takes me shopping. And that's the only exercise I get. And I used the trolley as a Zimmer. I'm going tomorrow, actually, shopping. And he was walking around with it, as you do. And I seen these sausages and I said, I had the Lincolnshire ones. I said, oh, get some of them. And I got these apple ones. And I went, what the? So I asked, I might as well get them, put them in. Fucking hell. Beautiful. But you know what I did? Like, I had my sunglasses, they're all prescription, and I had my sunglasses on. So anyway, I picked these things up, and I was looking, like that, the way you look like that. Because I said to our fiancée, you know what I think I'll get some coated chips. And have them with sausages. So she went, oh, shut up, Dad. I said, no, I'll get some chips. Coated. So anyway, I was walking. Anyway, I got these things. But I ate all my sausages, and I seen these chips at the beginning of the week. I went, oh, I'll have these. Put them in the oven, because, it's already in a tray. Read the instructions. You know what they were? They weren't chips. And I got, there's a sachet as well. And you spread the sachet, one. It says, put it on after 10 minutes. I said, oh, fuck that, I'll do it now. So let's put it on. As I thought the chips. Do you know what they were? Sliced carrots that looked like chips. Fucking carrots. I ate a few. Okay, now. Great me, aren't they? Oh, Maggie, hope you get back on. Fucking boss. See, he swore. I don't swear, see. Everyone's swearing tonight. Maggie. You're not going to live there, are you, Maggie? Are you going to live there? Is that what you're saying? You've got no internet or anything? Oh, Maggie. We're going to miss you, sweetheart, if you're there. If not, if you just go for an holiday and you come back. Eat them cold, always better, says the code. Cozy, if you're starving and you cook, you got to eat them there and then. But I do, I do like more, and I have a couple cold, and the others hot. Because, you just got to go, when they're hot. And not frozen. And Cody said, of course, eating like a king. You always see a pig with an apple in its mouth and a king's, but you do, don't you? But you see it today, You actually see it today. I remember, again, as a student, I got invited to a barbecue. So I'd never been to a barbecue before, But anyway, I went down. He said, oh, fucking posh heads. And there was a pig. A little pig going around on the spit. Never says there's anything like it. It's fucking brilliant. You know, this girl was coming around giving little plates, you know. Loved it. And Dali, you need to try Romanian food, Franco. Do you know what? I grew up eating pasta. That's all I have. And sausages. One of the kids in St. Anthony's said, says Phil, they had a pet koala bear, Bobby. After a much pressure, he agreed we could see it. When we got there, the sitters had escaped. Kids running around calling for fucking Is that true? I love parsnips. And I haven't had them since my divorce many years ago. Many years ago. Don't make spam. What do you mean? Don't make it. We just get out of a tin. Ali. Hope all is well, guys, says Janet. Finishing now, Janet. And I am finishing. Moving there. Oh, you're moving. 20 minutes. Go away. So I thought you were a Scouser. I thought you lived here, Maggie. Oh, well, you know, why not? Why not? Town, that's in Wales, isn't it? Town. You're having pork and apple sausage, Frank? Same thing. No, I'm having Lincolnshire. Because I ate the pork and apple. I'm going to get some tomorrow, though. Cody. I'm going to get some tomorrow, you know. And Janice said, I'm going to finish on this. I was in the Philippines and they advertised their pork butcher with a live pig outside. Oh, go away. Oh, go away. Fuck. I don't know where I am. Fucking ridiculous, this. Cody. Oh, Lincolnshire. Snob. I'm going to eat chicken, says Janet. Good for you, Janet. Frank Owen, oh, great show, says Phil. Thank you, Phil. And chat. Thank you. Great comments tonight, by the way. Brilliant. You know, you all fucking know the score. Are they the round ones? Yeah, the round ones. But by the time I get them out, they fucking go square. And I, pick them. I'm going. I'll see you Monday for the history show. If you join me. Little Maggie won't be able to join me because she's going to town and she won't have the internet. Which is a shame. Have a great weekend, everybody. Please have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, people. And little Maggie says, I was born in Liverpool, but my parents moved to Anglesey when I was 2. That's why I started watching you to try to connect with my dad's stories. Then I got hooked, Frank. Ah, that's lovely, Maggie. Thank you, sweetheart. Isn't that lovely? No one's mentioned, have you? We smile. You know what? and my tooth knocked out. So we look all right now. Instead of a fucking big gap there. Good night, all, says Janet. Good night, Janet. Good night, everybody, says Ali. Good night, Ali, lads. You take care of yourself and take care of your mum. Oh, and Joanne. Have a great weekend, comrades. Franco, take care of yourself. Watch along on Sunday. No, I'm not doing a watch along. Oh, yeah, I can. Oh, fuck, yeah, it's in the night, isn't it? Forgot about that. Because it was fucking terrible the other day. You know, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I woke the fucking block up. Anyway, watch along Sunday. My VPN's working fairly well now. You can call me whenever you want to smash the likes if you haven't already. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's lovely. Claudia Diana, there's my next wife. Ladies and gentlemen, this is lovely Claudia. Yes. I'm getting over to Italy. I think I'll go on Monday. Find out where Claudia lives. Propose. If she says yes, we'll just go straight down to the Amalfi Coast. Go to a beautiful place called Atrani. Smashing little cove. Brilliant. Get married there. And then over there, back around to Sorrento. Have a little honeymoon there. Bring it over to Pompeii. Show her what I know about Pompeii. Then go on to Herculaneum. Show her what I know about Herculaneum. And then end our honeymoon in Rome, my favourite city of all places in the world. And show her my favourite building in all the world, the Pantheon. Built by Emperor Hadrian, who built the walls. Good night, Claudia. Cozy. Well, you know what you said. That was, I tell you what that was. James Cagney. What I hear, what do you say? Am I right? What I hear, what do you say? That's good, that. Cozy, lad. Looks great, Frank. Really, Janet? That? Thanks. Got me smile back. Oh, Steve Coughlin. Good luck with your move, Maggie. Peace out. That's lovely, that. I like that. I really like that. Tennis player. And Ali. Damn. Claudia Diana. You know where, Franco? She has upset me. She is upset on me. And Ali says, Diana is Romanian. She lives in my town. Anyway, Franco, enjoy your beautiful week. You too. You too, my good friend Ali. Hey. Sounds like a plan. Good luck and congratulations to you both. Behave yourself. Absolutely. Ah. Nice night, everyone, says lovely Maggie. And she's thanking Steve, and that's lovely. I love that, people. I love when you connect. And Cody says, Claudia, tennis fan. Roland Garros. French, Roland Garros. Listen, I'm going. Thank you so much. If you want to join me on Sunday, 6 p.m. Is it 6 p.m.? Well, I'll find out the time. To the Liverpool watch along. If you don't like football, I'm back on Monday evening, 7 o'clock as usual time for the history show. I'll be doing loads of history. Thank you so much. Thank you. And to my lovely Italian ladies, mille grazie. Ci vediamo. Ci vediamo domenica. Siete. And to everyone else, thank you. Good night. And hopefully I'll see some of you on Sunday and some of you on Monday. Lunedì to the Italians. Domenica to the Italians. That's Sunday. Lunedì, Monday. And 7 ore, 7 o'clock. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Cheers, Cody. You're a good man. See you later. Bye, everybody.